What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another Too Good for Theaters video. Today we're going to be breaking down the Patriots' 32-16 loss versus the Jacksonville Jaguars in London, so let's get right into it. So from an offensive perspective, the Patriots continue to struggle to run the football, and they really have just become a one-dimensional passing team. And while it's giving Drake Mayo a lot of looks here, it's not really setting up this team for success. And truthfully, it's not surprising. I mean, this offensive line just really hasn't been able to establish any continuity without the really the flexibility of their core linemen being in there with David Andrews going down. I mean, you have guys shuffling all over the offensive line with Michael Onwenu moving between guard and tackle, guys like Sidney So going down, and then eventually you're getting replaced by guys like Michael Jordan coming up from the practice squad. And really just there has been a lack of continuity. And it's not surprising that this team really just can't find a rhythm in the ground game. Even with a guy like Ramondre Stevenson, who kind of thrives with yards after the contact. But, I mean, when there are multiple guys getting beat on every rushing down, it's really difficult to kind of use that strength when you're getting tackled by 2-3 guys within like 2 seconds of the ball being snapped to you. And it really is more so a struggle here, but it's kind of showing the resilience of Drake May with how this team has really just become a more one-dimensional passing attack. And he's still finding ways to have success in moving this team down the field, even though he doesn't necessarily have the weapons that you'd like to see on a modern offense in the game here, and especially with the struggles of the offensive line in the running game in particular. It is a credit to him of how he has kind of established himself and continues to kind of move the football. While it hasn't been consistently thus far, he has led this team on multiple drives that really just have not occurred with Jacoby Brissett in there. It really just kind of shows off his playmaking ability to either scramble out of the pocket and run for it himself, or really extend the plays and keep his eyes down the field and hitting guys like Hunter Henry. This is really the second week in a row where he's been able to establish or extend the play there, then hit Hunter Henry over the middle there for kind of some extra yardage. And it really just kind of breaks apart the defense there. And like I said before with Drake May, he does like to attack through the middle. And in the air today, I think that he really kind of played rather well. He did a real nice job of kind of reading the defenses. He did get bailed out on a couple of poor throws today. That one to KJ Osborne on that kind of drag route across the field, you really just can't lob that football there. You have to throw an accurate strike or at least get that ball more towards the sideline where only your guy can catch it, and not allowing that defensive back to kind of make a play on that ball. And he got very lucky that the defensive back, frankly, just dropped it. And then also that one where I believe he was looking for Austin Hooper, whether it was a miscommunication or just a poor throw by Drake May in the end zone there. The safety, unfortunately, or fortunately for us, was unable to come up with that ball there. But it either looked like a miscommunication because he might have been thinking that Austin Hooper was kind of just going to stick down there and not run that corner route that he ran, or else it was just a poor throw and he threw it real badly behind him there. But I would say overall Drake May certainly had some very good throws on the day. That strike to KJ Osborne in the end zone there was a real highlight to his day right there. And it's good to see KJ Osborne kind of getting involved in this offense now. Hunter Henry certainly was the main focal point of the offensive game plan today. However, Drake May really has established a rapport with Hunter Henry, especially with those routes over the middle. On the first drive alone, I believe Hunter Henry had 2 catches, then another two catches on the next drive. And then, of course, he had that big 30-yard catch, which I believe was on a seam route going down the middle. And that was kind of one of those scoring drives that I believe Drake May kind of really established himself, got into an up-tempo with this offense, hit a couple of big plays. I believe he had 3 passes of 20-plus yards in that drive alone, which was capped off by that KJ Osborne touchdown. I believe it was on the same drive. But like I said before, he hit Hunter Henry on the seam route. A real nice contested catch right there by Hunter Henry. Kind of hit that over a Jaguars defensive back, I believe. It was one of their safeties. Then he hit Kayshon Boutte along the far sideline there. Kind of one of those streak routes, those fade routes there. Second week in a row where Kayshon Boutte and Drake May have connected on a deep ball down the sideline. So looking to really kind of establish that rapport between those two. And Kayshon Boutte continues to kind of carve out a little bit of a role for himself as the primary X receiver, taking over for Tyquan Thornton. And with Jalen Polk really just frankly not being able to get open, or when he does get open, just simply just dropping the ball. It really is Kayshon Boutte's job at this point. No one else really can kind of match his explosiveness, which is saying a lot about the state of this offense, because I wouldn't say that Kayshon Boutte's the most explosive wide receiver in the league, but he's been doing a serviceable job out there, and he's been making some plays and establishing a nice little chemistry there with Drake May. Unlike Jalen Polk, who once again was held catchless, and Drake May probably could have laid that ball out better towards the sideline on that one contested catch where Jalen Polk was unable to haul it in. But if you're in Polk's position, really struggling to make plays, that's a ball you have to catch. If you want to establish that rapport with your quarterback and gain some trust from the coaching staff, that's certainly a play you have to make. And once again, he was unable to make it. I believe he was targeted 4 times today. And like I said before, he had 0 catches. So really just has struggled to kind of get into the flow of the offense here. And speaking of the flow of the offense, I thought that Alex Van Pelt really was calling a good game in that first quarter, but then it once again continued to get a little stagnant. And I really do have an issue with these stretch zone runs that this team tries to run. You can just see the kind of disjointedness amongst this offensive line and how they're really unable to run that core concept in Alex Van Pelt's system. And I've been clamoring for a lot more of the bootleg passes, but I guess technically if you can't establish that stretch zone running game, frankly, who's going to buy the play-action bootleg passes that really are a staple of the Alex Van Pelt offense? So I understand why they haven't been able to run it, but if they're simply just not working these zone schemes whatsoever, I say just abandon calling those plays then, and then maybe work some more pistol plays like you did today. I saw that Drake May took a snap from the pistol, and maybe have that in that little short area game where you're able to get some play action all based off those instead of the bootlegs that could potentially cause some confusion amongst the defense and get some guys open there amongst the secondary. But like I said before, I thought that Alex Van Pelt actually started the game off pretty well from a play calling standpoint. Came out with a ton of play action, even had some screen passes there to guys like Antonio Gibson out of the backfield. And the Patriots actually had their first opening drive score of the season there with a touchdown led by Drake May, which was a very good sign. And they scored points on the first 2 drives, and really this offense looked dominant against this Jacksonville defense. But then it's either Jacksonville tightened up or the play calling got a little bit of lackadaisical there. But Jacksonville was able to kind of get themselves back into the game and really just take the game over from then and on. And really the Patriots offense just didn't have success whatsoever until the fourth quarter once again, where Drake May was able to extend some of the plays. And you'd like to see that this offensive coaching staff kind of learned to adjust to what Jacksonville did to stump them in the second and third quarters there, which is good to see that they really were able to do that in the fourth quarter. But I would say that that's more based on Drake May's ability to really extend the plays and not because of the coaching staff. I didn't really see anything from a scheme standpoint to really adjust to what Jacksonville was kind of throwing at them. And I understand that Alex Van Pelt doesn't necessarily have all the cards to kind of play in this scenario and really can't match some of the talent on the Jacksonville defense with this offense, but you'd maybe like to see a little more kind of scheme-wise plays in the middle of the game there to really keep the Patriots within fighting distance. And I will give him a little bit of credit, and I kind of missed upon this last week. I thought that they did a real nice job in the 2-minute drill with Drake May kind of extending plays, hitting Demario Douglas as well as Kayshon Boutte for that long touchdown. And I felt like they were much more decisive in the 2-minute warning then. And I think this week they were much more decisive in the 2-minute warning leading into the half, where they were really unable to kind of force Jacksonville into getting the ball in a favorable scenario, and especially with Bryce Behringer having a real nice boot there at the end. It really only gave Jacksonville around 50 seconds left in the first half and didn't really allow them to score from that standpoint. But I'll get more into the special teams and the defense later on in this video. But that's what I thought more so of the offense. Certainly had some highlights which really just kind of showed why Drake May was the 3rd overall pick. And frankly, as of right now, he is your offense these past 2 games. He's really been doing everything, and he's been covering up a lot of weaknesses on this team, which is the sign of a very good quarterback. But the offense only scoring 16 points, that's frankly just not going to get it done, especially with how the defense has been struggling of late. So let's turn it over to that side of the ball real quick. And moving over to the defensive side of the ball here today, I honestly do not have much to say on the defense. I think Gerard Mayo perfectly summed up what this defense was playing like today, which was absolutely soft against the Jacksonville Jaguars offense. And I think really the only time that they looked good was on the first series where they were able to get a stop. And other than that, I feel like Jacksonville absolutely dominated this game. And really, this is the fourth straight week that the Patriots have gotten absolutely manhandled in the trenches from a defensive standpoint, giving up 171 rushing yards today to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I believe the Jacksonville Jaguars actually ran the ball for 17 straight plays. And that is absolutely pathetic from a defensive standpoint. Just having the mentality that you're unable to stop that rushing attack whatsoever was absolutely pathetic. And it's a discredit to the coaching staff as well as the players to not be able to adjust to that game plan as well as execute in stopping that game plan by the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I will give the Patriots a little bit of credit. I do think that this team has been getting beat on the outside for a lot of these running plays. However, today, I felt like they did a better job of setting the edge. However, I think that Jacksonville did a really nice job of absolutely running the ball right down the middle of your defense. They had a ton of double-team blocks against guys like Jaquarius Roy and Devon Gauchow that really opened up holes for guys like Dearness Johnson as well as Tank Bigsby to absolutely gouge the center of your defense. And guys in the secondary as well as your linebacking core today, you kind of talk about how Raekwon McMillan got benching because of inability to really step into those run gaps. Well, no one else really looked good in that terms in this game either. So this frankly is just a philosophy of your defense of having to step up and play the run better. And it's a discredit or it's a disservice to the coaching staff as well as a discredit to them how they have been unable to adjust to what opposing offenses have done. You have to start loading the box, and when you see that they're double teaming your two interior defensive tackles on every single play, you have to have the ability to send blitzers from different spots to plug up those holes then. If you're not going to counter what this offense has done, no wonder you're going to get gashed. So really the coaching staff has not been setting up the players, as well as the players have not been doing themselves any favors of really being able to execute on any start of this offense. And when you say, hey, why don't we just send everyone down to stop that running attack? Well, Trevor Lawrence damn near had a perfect passer rating in the first half, which just shows that this defense is not playing well in any area. It's absolutely atrocious. And it's a disservice to the players and the coaching staff to really hold anyone else accountable but themselves. And I know you're dealing with some injuries from here and there. Guess what? Every single team in this league is dealing with injuries. So it's something that you're going to have to adjust to and start executing your game plan from a defensive standpoint. And I understand not to harbor back to this offense. Your offense isn't doing much. So I understand that you have to have the burden of kind of playing that quote-unquote perfect game. But don't overextend yourself if that's the case. Stop trying to make the perfect play every time and just do your job in particular. And guess what? You're probably still going to end up losing games, but at least you're not going to lose in embarrassing ways where you're absolutely costing your team from a defensive standpoint. And when you're getting blown out like this because you're unable to really stop anyone, you're kind of putting a lot of pressure onto your rookie quarterback, having to drop back and pass damn near 30 times every game, which is really kind of difficult for him with being a rookie. And while I like to see a lot of looks for Drake May, which is kind of a personal thing as well as kind of a long-term benefit to you, that's not helping this team whatsoever. That's not the strength of this team. And this defense has to start playing better, and the coaches have to coach better. I mean, it's a really poor credit to them that this defense has looked this bad basically the entire season. The only time that this defense really has looked good was against the Cincinnati Bengals. And I guess against the Miami Dolphins, but look who you were facing there. And they definitely should have played better against the Miami Dolphins from a defensive standpoint. So this defense really just has been struggling. And this coaching staff, I frankly don't think they have any clue what they're doing in the ability to adjust. And I understand that you're missing pieces. And maybe when you got guys like Christian Barmore coming back into this, it's certainly going to help your run defense and stuff like that. But, I mean, you have to find ways to really make plays from a defensive standpoint and stop these offenses from putting up 30 points on you every damn week. It's actually inexcusable. So, from a defensive standpoint, much to say, Jerome Mayo said it perfectly, soft, and special teams was not much better today. Obviously, giving up that 97-yard touchdown on that punt return there. Frankly, I feel like Bryce Behringer kind of just outkicked the coverage And it was a real nice job by the Jacksonville returner. That's typically not a ball that you're going to return from the 3-yard line. And a credit to one area of this Patriots team, they have been doing really well in special teams, so this was a little bit of a fluke, but I feel like the team kind of just outkicked the coverage there, and then guys just simply weren't getting in their lanes, so really poor credit to them. Brandon Schooler kind of overplayed it a little bit while getting double teamed, but Brandon Schooler is one of the best special teamers in the league. I'm not going to criticize him that badly, but frankly, just in this game, not a lot of complimentary football outside the first quarter. Other than that, defense gave up points. Offense gave the ball right back to the opposing offense, and the defense continued to get gashed on the ground game. So this team has to find a way to play better next week. You're going up against a divisional opponent. You're at home. You want to see fight from this team, especially against the Jets, one of your most fierce rivals. Let's see if this coaching staff and the players kind of show up with a little bit more energy to next week, and let's see if they can actually make some adjustments here to make this team look better. But guessing on what they've done so far this season, it might be another blowout win here for the Jets over the New England Patriots. So we'll see what happens next week. All right, everyone. That wraps up this breakdown of the Patriots Week 7 game versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Hopefully they're able to respond and come out with a better performance next week against the Jets at Gillette. But we'll end up seeing what happens. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And once again, thank you so much for watching. Much appreciated.